Welcome to the Coastal Kitchen. Hi, I'm Karen Mashers, and today we're doing a tailgate party. I'm meeting some friends at the football field, and we're going to watch our local team play. So let's get started. Today we're going to be making Philly cheesesteak. We are going to have dill potato salad, some vinegar slaw, and a Shoo Fly Pie. Now, if you don't know what a Shoo Fly Pie is, I'm going to tell you. But first, to start my potatoes, I'm going to get them going for my dill potato salad. So let's turn this stove on. And I want it on high. And I'm putting in about 3 pounds of small red skin potatoes. New potatoes around here. And we're going to get those going to a boil. I'm going to put some salt in the water. And now let's talk about Shoo Fly Pie. Shoo Fly Pie, why do they call it that? Well, it was originally called a centennial pie, and shoo fly is because it's so sweet and gooey that you had to shoo the flies away because the flies would want to come to it, especially in the 1800s. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is put in a cup of all-purpose flour. This is a real easy pie to make. And 2/3 of a cup, firmly packed now, of brown sugar. And what I'm going to do is just stir that around with my fork. Get as much of it mixed up as I can, because I've got to add 2 tablespoons of Crisco. Now, originally this pie used lard, but I don't know if I can find a good quality lard around here, so I'm just going for the Crisco. All right, right in. And I'm gonna get every little bit because I want it to be nice and as moist as I can get it. And I'm cutting it in with my forks. And I want this to come to a consistency of about kosher salt. It's not a real wet topping, it's a dry type topping. All right, you can see how this is coming together. You can look at the grain and tell that it's still a dry mixture, but you've got those little pellets of that Crisco. Okay, we're going to put this aside for right now, and we're going to start on our filling. As I said, very, very easy pie. Okay, let's put in 8 ounces of molasses, and it's not a Shoo Fly Pie if you don't use molasses. So make sure you get a good one, unsulfured. All right, I want all of that stuff in there, so let's get it out. Okay, put your molasses in first. Then we're going to take 1 whole egg, and this is going to go right in. And I'm just going to mix that in real quick. And I'm going to take some baking soda, a teaspoon. That goes in next. This makes the pie bubble up when you get it in the oven. So sometimes the crust has a little bit of this filling exposed, which is a pretty effect. Okay, we've got one more thing we've got to get, and that is 6 ounces of boiling water. And I boiled my water. And when you put this in, keep stirring. Now I'm going to take about 3/4 of a cup of this mixture and add it to the filling. And the rest we're going to put in the pie on the bottom and the top. So you can see how beautiful that looks, a golden caramel color now. And that baking soda is starting to work. Let me get my pie crust. I've got it on a baking sheet because this does have a tendency to overflow. So what we're going to do now is just take about 2 tablespoons, and I'm going to sprinkle it on the bottom of this pie shell. Now to make this nice and easy, I have used a store-bought pie shell. You can make your own crust if you want to spend a little more time on it than I do, but we're doing this for a tailgate party, so I want this to be as quick as possible. All right, give it another stir here. And I'm gonna fill the pie with my filling mixture. And we're gonna go just about to the top, but I'm gonna leave about 1/4 of an inch, okay? Now it's time for the rest of the topping mixture. And you're just gonna sprinkle this around until you form a nice crust. We're gonna use the rest of it. All right, nearly got it all on, and make sure you bring it out to the edges. I'm gonna get every little bit that I can get on the top. You know, the history of this pie too said that it was made when times were lean, and people ate it for breakfast with really strong coffee. Now I really think it's a dessert pie myself because it's a little bit too sweet, but I like to add just a little bit of natural sugar on the top, and just a teaspoon, and that's my little touch on it. So we're going to put this in a 375 oven for 10 minutes, then we're gonna lower the temperature down to 350, and it takes about 35 minutes after you lower the temperature for it to be ready. It'll be nice and firm, and just slide it in. And we'll be back in just a minute as soon as I clean this up to make our coleslaw, the vinegar-based coleslaw. See you in a few.
How Mom plus Charlotte Electric plus Maytag equals one legendary apple pie. It begins with the finest ingredients kept Maytag fresh. Then, Maytag's precise baking means the flakiest, tastiest crust ever. Finally, her ultra-quiet Maytag dishwasher makes cleanup ultra easy. Mom, apple pie, and Maytag. Dependably yours at Charlotte Electric stores.
Welcome back. I've gotten everything cleaned up, and I've got our vinegar coleslaw ready to go. So the first thing that we're going to do with this vinegar-based coleslaw is make the dressing, because we want it to sit a few minutes before we actually dress the coleslaw. So I'm going to put in some olive oil. And you know, you can get the recipes at the Coastal Kitchen Facebook page. So if you don't want to write real fast, we've got them for you. Okay, now we are using some apple cider vinegar, and just stir as you pour it in. Don't have to be real particular. A teaspoon of sugar, that sweetens it up just enough. And some stone ground mustard. Now, using stone ground mustard gives it a little extra flavor, and you've got a little more texture there too. So stone ground mustard. And that's a wonderful ingredient to have on hand, because you can make so many sauces in your kitchen while you're making up recipes. It's a great ingredient. Okay, now we're just gonna let that sit for a minute, and I'm gonna whisk just a little bit faster. And we're ready for that just to sit right here. Now it's time to put our slaw together. What I did earlier was I took some purple cabbage, and I've got about 2 cups here because I'm gonna make cabbage enough for about 8 people. So I've got 2 cups of very thinly sliced red cabbage, and I did this on a mandolin because the flavors come out so much better when they're thinner sliced. So we've got our purple cabbage, and we've got our regular cabbage. Did the same thing on the mandolin to make those flavors just pop out. Now carrots. The carrots that I've got, just took 2 carrots, and mine were rather big, so I didn't use them all. But I'm gonna cut these into about matchsticks size, and you can actually cut these on a mandolin first, so they're nice and thin, or you can do it like I'm doing here. Just nice little matchstick pieces. Gives it a little body. Okay, so I'm gonna throw those in, and I'm gonna throw some of the rest of it in too. This is a colorful salad, and we're gonna use about 2 medium-sized carrots. We're gonna throw the onions in, and I've got about 3 spring onions, and give that a little bit of pop too. Just turn it around, mix it up. Real easy slaw to make. Just takes a little bit of time to begin with. Okay, now I'm gonna be very sparing on this because I want to be able to add more. And once you add it, you can't take it away. So I'm gonna put about half of it in, and I'm gonna toss and see how well it's coated. All right, we're nearly there. I've got everything tossed, but I wanna get some of that bottom mustard. And so I'm gonna put about 2 more teaspoons in and give it another toss so we've got some of that grainy mustard in here. All right, slaw looks great. What I'm gonna do now is put a little bit of fresh pepper on there, and you can do this to taste. And now a little bit of kosher salt. Give it another toss. This needs to go into the fridge to get nice and chilled. The one thing about this kind of slaw is you don't want to add the dressing until you're going to use it, because it doesn't sit well overnight, because it wilts very quickly. So you want to have that fresh, beautiful taste. Now, speaking of taste, I think it's time for me to do that. Let me check it and make sure that I've got enough seasoning. That is delicious. Okay, I'm gonna put this in the fridge, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
ATMC offers internet speeds up to 1 gigabit per second, but we like to call it Gigabunch, because now you can download a bunch more songs, stream a bunch more movies, play a bunch more games, and use a bunch more devices, all without losing any speed. And when you build your own bundle with high-speed internet, digital cable, reliable home phone, and ATMC security with smart home solutions, you save a bunch. Build your bundle today with ATMC.
While you were gone, my pie is almost finished. It's just ready for me to take it out of this wonderfully hot oven. Take a look. You can see where it bubbles up, and it looks like it's got a dark crust, but it's so good. We're gonna let that sit. It's gotta cool before you serve it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make some homemade whipped cream, and I'm gonna put a dollop on each slice. But we're gonna let it cool, then I'm gonna put it in the fridge for just a few minutes. So let's go do our potato salad. I took my potatoes off during the break because they were done. I've drained them, and they're sitting in the pot waiting for me. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut up about 4 spring onions, and just want to cut them up in rounds. I want to be able to taste it, so nice little pieces. And I even like to use the greens, so I'll get some of those greens in there too. Okay, got my onions all chopped up. Let me grab a bowl real fast. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put my onions in the bowl. And I'm gonna put a whole stick of butter in the bowl. Just room temperature. We're gonna slide that off. And now I'm gonna grab my potatoes. I've got about 3 pounds of potatoes here. Just gauge it for what you are doing, and all cooked and hot, okay? So while they're hot, I'm gonna cut them in half, half again, and into fourths, because I want this to be a pretty healthy bite. Okay, I think I've got one more here. Let's get this one in. And if there's a piece of skin that doesn't look quite right, just go ahead and it'll peel right off, no problems. Okay. It's still steaming. These potatoes are hot. Let me rinse my hands off just a second. Get that one in. Now what I want to do is toss this potato mixture so the butter can get into each little piece of potato. And you want to do this while the potatoes are warm so it really melts down. I have dill weed, and I love the flavor of dill. So I'm going to put in about 2 tablespoons, and every once in a while I put in more. But I'm going to save a little bit because I want to put some on the top of my dish once I put it in the fridge. You can serve this hot, but today we're serving it cold. Okay, now it's time for us to add the mayo. Now, I eyeball it. I like to make sure that everything is coated, but I don't want too much. So I put about a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup in, and I'm gonna turn it and add more as I go. So when you're doing it, make it the way you like it. That's what I do. All right, now I really want you to see the consistency of this. In a way, it looks like smashed potatoes, not mashed, but smashed. And that's the way you want it to look. You want it to have that consistency of a mashed. And we're going to add some salt. And then I'm going to let anybody that wants to add a little bit more put it in themselves. And I'm going to add about 1/4 of a teaspoon of pepper. And we're going to mix up again. And this is ready to go in the fridge. So I'm going to put this in, and we're going to have a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Just remember, make it the way that you like it.
Never worry about data again with an AT&T Unlimited Choice Plan from AT&C. Surf and stream and text all you want for just $60 per month. Unlimited data means unlimited entertainment. Got a family? Get 2 lines for only $115 a month. Plus, add up to 8 additional devices for only $20 each. More surfing, more streaming, no worries. Get your unlimited choice plan from AT&C today. AT&C, your local authorized AT&T retailer.
Hi, I'm back, and we're getting ready to make our Philly cheesesteak sandwich. All right, I've got some peppers cut up, good old green peppers, and some onions cut up into a thin but medium slice. I'm gonna finish this pepper real fast. Then we're going to start with a recipe that I found from Pat Olivetti's original recipe. So let's turn this on real fast. I've got a cast iron skillet, and I'm gonna put about 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil in it. Just good eyeball it. And let's move that around just a touch in the pan. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to test the oil. Want to get the pan nice and hot, and once the pan is hot, which it gets hot fast on this stove, I'm going to make sure that the water just starts to sizzle when I put a drop in. There it goes. Okay, we're going to take our onions and just separate them a little bit. Wait till it stops You want those onions for the cheesesteak. And I'm putting in 1 large onion right now. And we're going to do this the original way. It's amazing that we think peppers are what makes a Philly cheesesteak, but it's actually onions and mushrooms. Whoops, that one wanted to run away. But we're going to put the onions on one side. We're going to put the mushrooms on the other. This sandwich, when it was originally made, it was done in Philadelphia by Pat Olivetti. And when he did the sandwich, he was just hungry. He sent his brother out to get some beef, and he fixed it up, put it between a hoagie bun, and a taxi driver was coming in to get a sandwich, and he said he wanted that one. And that's how it became a thing in Philadelphia. All right, let's turn these real fast. And we're going to turn this now down to low. But that cab driver, he thought it was so good, he told all his friends. And they couldn't keep enough of them there, so they went to making it on a regular basis and put it on the menu. But no cheese yet. Cheese didn't come till about the 1940s, and they used Cheese Whiz, not provolone. Provolone is a staple with it now, so I've got both. I've got some melted Cheese Whiz, and I've got some provolone, so we can make it the way we want to. But we're going to let these onions get opaque, and the mushrooms are going to turn brown, so we're going to let them just keep working for a few minutes. We're going to do the peppers on the grill, and I'm just going to start sauteing them because I know my buddies at the football field like peppers. So I'm going to cook these peppers up just for them. All right, now we're going to toss and go. All right, these things have been cooking about 10 minutes, and the mushrooms are turning brown, the onions are caramelized, and we're going to push them to the side of the pan. Just slide them over. Look at those peppers, they're really getting there. I love them with that crispy edges. Okay, time for the meat. Now, if you do this authentically, you are actually buying your ribeye and you are freezing it and then slicing it real thin. We're cheating today. I've got that and I've had it sliced thin at the market. And I'm gonna put it right in here. And I'm gonna get enough for a good 2 sandwiches. We're just going to stick that in the pan. And I've got 2 spatulas. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it sit for a minute, and then I'm going to start tearing it apart. And it's going to take about 2 to 3 minutes for this to get done. And then I'm ready to make a sandwich. All right, while that's cooking, I'm gonna make sure that I have some hot toasty bread. So I've got some rolls, I've sliced them in half, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take out a little of the center bread so it makes sort of like a boat and it holds all that good stuff in. So just a little bit. And I'm gonna take just a little tiny bit of butter and spread the top and the bottom. and I'm gonna lay this right on my grill. Take just a minute and we'll keep on pulling this and it should be ready anytime. Now, once you get this cooked to your satisfaction, we're gonna make 2 piles of meat because I'm gonna do 2 different sandwiches. I'm gonna take in some mushrooms and onions, and look at that. That's a nice size here. A little bit more. And then on this side, I'm gonna do the same thing. Okay, I know that I've got somebody who wants the provolone. So I'm gonna take a couple slices of provolone, put right over the top. And you know what, cheese is good for you, so let's put a 3rd one right on there on the top, okay? This one is reserved for Cheese Whiz. And with Cheese Whiz, we're gonna have the peppers. That's the request. So I'm gonna put a couple of peppers in there right now, and then I'll put a couple more on top. But the Cheese Whiz doesn't go on till it goes in the bun. All right, let's check this out. I'm going to grab a spoon, and I'm gonna try to help this along just a little bit. I'm gonna throw about a tablespoon of water in the pan to help melt that cheese. It'll steam it up and be ready in just a sec. Let's grab a plate. And you know what? I'm gonna get a pickle. Couple of dill pickles, kosher dills. I'm gonna put my warm bun right there. Okay, cheese is melted, and I'm just gonna take this spatula and ooh-wee. Isn't that fun? I'm gonna put a couple more mushrooms on the top. Turn this off real fast. And I made a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. I'm gonna take a bite. Absolutely delicious. Now, you can put peppers on the top, you can serve it with the pickles, you can put banana peppers, the rings on top, or have some pepperoncini. Now we're gonna put everything together and we'll be ready to come back and show you what it looks like with the dill potato salad, the slaw, and everything all ready to eat. Be back in a few.
How Mom plus Charlotte Electric plus Maytag equals 1 legendary apple pie. It begins with the finest ingredients kept Maytag fresh. Then, Maytag's precise baking means the flakiest, tastiest crust ever. Finally, her ultra-quiet Maytag dishwasher makes cleanup ultra easy. Mom, apple pie, and Maytag. Dependably yours at Charlotte Electric Stores.
I told you we were going for a tailgate today. I'm here with Jay Combs and Sam Hickman. They're the announcers for the local football game, and we're gonna cheer them on, but we need to eat first. And I promised Jay that I would make him a Philly cheesesteak, so I have done that. We're gonna have Philly cheesesteak with Cheese Whiz or provolone, some dill potato salad, some vinegar slaw, and a Shoo Fly Pie.
Let me tell you, you promised me that Christmas of last year, and I thought, she'll never do this. And here we are in October of 2017, and there it is. I've been to Philadelphia, I have eaten Philly cheesesteaks, and I'm telling you right now, those look every bit as good as what you're going to get in Philadelphia.
Well, thank you, and let's dig in because I know you guys have to get on the game, and we'll see you next time at the Coastal Kitchen. All right, boys.
Stay connected with your community channel. Like ATMC TV on Facebook today.